Hey guys, it's ATV All Things Vita here. I'm just going to give you my quick review of the PS Vita port that just released a few days ago, Dead or Alive 5. Now originally this game was on the PS3 and it came out late, I think September 2012, so not that long ago. And so I haven't played many other Dead or Alive games. I played Dead or Alive 4 and a little bit of Dead or Alive 5 on the consoles. And so this is my first big experience with a Dead or Alive game. So I'm going to just tell you right now that it has been a good experience. And I think that overall this game is a really nice fighter. And if you have not already played Dead or Alive 5 on your console, you should seriously consider getting it. But if you have played it on your console, as with any port, it might be a harder recommendation for me to make, unless of course you're a very hardcore fan. Now first off, I'd like to talk about the graphics of the game. Now the graphics aren't anything amazing, and like a lot of Vita games, some places they shine and sometimes they're just okay. So for the gameplay of the game, the graphics are just sort of adequate. They are not that much worse than the actual PS3 version, but there's a clear noticeable difference. Now where the graphics actually do shine are in the character models. They're very detailed and they add a lot to the experience. There are so many cutscenes in the game that if there were bad character models, then it would take you out of the experience and make the game a lot worse to play. This actually adds a lot to the experience considering how many cutscenes are in the game. Now the gameplay of Dead or Alive 5 it's clearly going to be the best of this series. It's been refined over many years and 4 different titles. And it feels just as good on the Vita as it does on the console. If you aren't familiar with the Dead or Alive franchise, then at least for me, it seems to be a little bit of a more realistic approach on a fighter. I mean, it's not that realistic, but you're definitely not going to be doing black flips across the screen while shooting fireballs at your hands. It sort of seems like a mixed martial arts type of fighting, which I really like. Now the fighting system itself has been improved upon since the last title. There are definitely a lot more elements that make the game's fighting mechanics more deep and definitely a lot more fun. But I can still find myself winning some battles button mashing the punch and kick buttons, which is honestly a good thing. The fighting system is as deep as you want it to be. There are so many different things that you can learn, like how to do throws and holds and different blocks and combos. But if you want it to be, it can be a very simple fighting game, which makes it a perfect game for hardcore fans of fighters or just people who want to have a little bit of fun. Now the story for Dead or Alive 5 Plus is probably what you're going to be spending the most time in. You play as all the different characters, and what's going on is basically there's a new Dead or Alive tournament that a lot of people are joining. Though I don't really know what's going on in this story, because I haven't played a lot of the other titles, I still do get some of it, and it is pretty interesting. It's a refreshing change from the normal stuff you'll get from fighters, which is basically just ladder matches that don't really have much meaning. My only complaint with this story mode is, although the cutscenes are pretty interesting, sometimes it feels like you're watching as many cutscenes as you are fighting, because the fights do not last that long. A lot of the fights you have to try over, because it's pretty hard to beat them the first time, but still I feel like they could have made the fights a little bit longer. Sometimes you do tag teams, where you have 2 players against 2 players, or 2 players against 1 player, allowing for you to control either the 1 player against 2 other players, or 2 players against 1 other player, or 2 players against 2 players. Now these matches are a lot more interesting and took up more time, but I didn't find them very often in the story mode. One other complaint is that the story mode isn't very long. You can probably beat it in a good 4 or 5 hours, which is probably pretty long for a Vita game, but considering that it was a PlayStation 3 game, I was expecting a little bit more time. But this is definitely excusable because there are so many other modes. If you want to, you can just play solo, playing against whatever enemy you want. You can choose how good they are and what map and stuff like that. There's also a survival mode where you are 1 player and you can see how many people you knock out before you yourself gets knocked out. There's also a great multiplayer mode, which is either ranked or you can just play matches against random opponents. There was no lag when I played and they worked very well, so that's good news. There's also a Vita specific mode that lets you tap on the screen and do different gestures and swipes to fight against your opponent. But I found these a little bit too easy and kind of annoying, so I didn't play them. There's also a very extensive training mode that lets you get very good at the game. Considering all this, there's lots of reasons to buy this game, and I feel like I'll be playing this game for a very long time. Its deep fighting mechanics, great story, and many modes make this a fighter that you should seriously consider getting. My only real complaint is how the many cutscenes make it sort of seem like you're watching a movie more than playing a game. And in all, I'd give it about a 4.5 out of 5, or I guess 9 out of 10, whichever one you would prefer, please leave in the comments. Thanks for watching. This has been ATV All Things Vita here, and I hope you enjoyed my video. Make sure to subscribe for more Vita content, and leave me a comment saying what you thought of the review.